Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the secrets of the corporate world, and today we're diving into HarborOne Bancorp's latest filing. It looks like the folks at HarborOne are getting ready to tie the knot, and we're here to break down exactly what that means for their shareholders and their future. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, if you enjoy getting straight to the point with financial news, make sure you're subscribed. And hey, we've got a fantastic community over on Discord, linked in the description below, where we discuss these filings in real time. So, HarborOne Bancorp Inc. is reporting on a special meeting they had on August 20th of last year. The big news here is that their shareholders gave the green light for a merger. Think of it like two companies deciding to become one. And in this case, HarborOne is merging into a company called Eastern Bankshares Inc. It's a pretty significant move for HarborOne. This filing is essentially documenting the results of that shareholder meeting. They needed their shareholders to approve a merger agreement that was signed back in April. The plan is for HarborOne to be absorbed by Eastern, with Eastern being the main company left standing. And to make things even more integrated, after the main merger, HarborOne Bank will also merge into Eastern Bank. It's a deep dive into making these two entities operate as one cohesive unit. Now, let's look at how the shareholders voted. For the main merger itself, it needed a super majority vote, meaning 2/3 of the shareholders had to say yes, and it looks like they got that approval. We're seeing a solid chunk of shares voting for the merger. The table shows 31,900,494 shares voted for the merger proposal. That's a really strong number, indicating widespread shareholder support for joining forces with Eastern Bankshares. And only a tiny fraction, 0 shares listed as opposing, though we do see some abstentions and broker non-votes, which are also important to note. But the overwhelming majority were in favour, which tells us shareholders are on board with this direction. Besides the actual merger, shareholders also had to vote on something called merger-related compensation. This is basically a vote on the compensation that certain key executives at HarborOne might receive because of this merger. It's a common practice to ensure executives are incentivized during such a big transition. But it's also subject to shareholder approval, often advisory, meaning it's a way for shareholders to voice their opinion. Here again, the shareholders overwhelmingly approved this. We see $29,117,917, 950 shares voting for this compensation was fair and appropriate given the circumstances of the merger. The opposition here is also low, with 392,882 shares voted against. While it's still a good number of shares, it's significantly less than those who voted in favour. So the shareholders are comfortable with how the key team members are being compensated through this process. And to make this official, we have the signature of Joseph F. Casey, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer of HarborOne Bancorp. His sign-off on August 20th, 2025 confirms the authenticity of this report filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, what does the merger really mean for HarborOne? Well, merging with a larger entity like Eastern Bankshares can bring a lot of benefits. Think about economies of scale, meaning they can potentially operate more efficiently because they're bigger. This could lead to cost savings in areas like technology, marketing, and overall operations. It also means access to a wider customer base and potentially more capital to invest back into the business, perhaps for new branches, better technology, or new products. However, mergers also come with their own set of challenges. Integrating two companies, especially their cultures, systems, and employees, is never a simple task. There can be redundancies, which might lead to layoffs, and definitely a period of adjustment for everyone involved. The key is how well Eastern Bankshares can integrate HarborOne and leverage its strengths without losing what made HarborOne successful in the first place. From a shareholder perspective, this deal structure will determine how they benefit. Are they getting cash or shares in the new combined entity? The filing mentions a merger agreement, and typically in these situations, shareholders will receive a mix of cash and stock in the acquiring company, or just stock, or sometimes just cash. The approval indicates shareholders are happy with the terms of that agreement. For HarborOne shareholders, the expectation is that Eastern Bancorp will be a stronger, more stable company, and their investment will reflect that in the long run. Looking at the overall market, banking consolidation is a pretty common trend. Banks are always looking for ways to grow and stay competitive, especially in the face of evolving technology and customer expectations. This merger fits right into that larger picture. Eastern Bankshares is likely looking to expand its reach, perhaps into new geographic areas where HarborOne has a strong presence, or to gain market share in existing areas. Our take on this: HarborOne's shareholders have clearly voted in favour of a new chapter, and the initial numbers suggest strong confidence in the merger. The votes for both the merger and the executive compensation point to a shareholder base that trusts the leadership and the direction of the company. The real test, however, will be in the execution of the merger. Can Eastern Bancorp effectively integrate HarborOne and deliver on the promised synergies and growth? That's where the future value for shareholders will truly be unlocked. We'll be keeping a close eye on their future filings to see how this integration unfolds and what impact it has on both companies' financial health. What's your take on this merger? Do you think it's a smart move for HarborOne and its shareholders? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more corporate deep dives. And of course, join us on Discord in the description for even more in-depth discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Decode.